The year we blended our first anniversary, the calendar itself felt like a puzzle. Your family celebrates on the lunar date with a late-night feast. Mine circles the exact wedding day, with a sunrise walk and coffee from the diner on Main. If you're here for celebrating milestones in multicultural relationships, you already know the heart wants both the feast and the walk. We tried to pick one and lost the mood in the choosing. So we split the day into chapters. Midnight noodles for long life, then a dawn stroll with quiet vows under streetlights flicking out. The city stretched, yawned, and made space for a love that didn't fit in one tradition. We talk about moments like this on Whispered Hearts. English, because milestones carry more than balloons and hashtags. They carry belonging. They tell families that the story is still being written. They tell partners, I see you on the days the world sees us too. But there's something even quieter holding love together than party plans. Milestones are memory glue. They keep the good days from sliding off the shelf. They also repair dents you picked up on regular Tuesdays. When you celebrate on purpose, you teach your house to remember the right scenes. Research shows rituals lower stress and raise connection. Therapists report that couples who name meaning before logistics argue less. So we asked better questions. What does this day protect? Which part is sacred and which part is flexible? Have you noticed how why makes how easier to solve? Here's the curiosity that changed everything between the story and the strategy. What have you planned the feelings first and the format second? If the feeling is gratitude, you might write letters and read them over breakfast. If the feeling is community, you might throw a backyard potluck with 2 kinds of music. What feeling do you want your body to remember when you think of this milestone next year? We began building a framework instead of a fight. Time, space, symbols and roles. Time gave us split-day options, your midnight tradition and my morning one. Space gave us 2 locations that mattered, your parents' living room with framed photos and our favorite park bench that faces a skyline. Symbols lent us objects with weight, red envelopes and wildflowers in a jar, bracelets and a single candle. Roles helped us invite elders to bless and friends to cheer without letting the guest list run the show. But there's something even more important than all 4. Consent. Blending is not stealing, it's listening. We checked each other's no-go zones first. Then we redesigned around what could outmove. The mood shifted from compromise to creativity. Anniversaries taught us the language we used for everything else. For a 5-year mark, we paired your family's gift-giving style, useful, lasting, with mine, small, sentimental. A sturdy pan engraved on the handle, a tiny note folded into the box that said, "We cook on purpose." Which gift style from your side could hug a gesture from your partner's side without feeling forced? Birthdays took fewer negotiations once we named meaning. You grew up with loud rooms and an open door. I grew up with 3 candles and a quiet wish. We tried a 2-act birthday, afternoon picnic with friends, kites in the park, kids running with juice boxes, evening at home with a favorite meal, 1 song, and a phone call to grandma. 2 acts, 1 love. Proposals carry crosswinds. In some families, the surprise belongs to the couple. In others, the blessing belongs to the elders. We designed a path that honored both. You asked my family for their stories and their hopes without asking for permission over my voice. I planned the moment and the ring, then gave your parents a role in the reveal party. We kept the secret we wanted. We kept the respect they needed. Engagement celebrations looked like a map more than a moment. A small ceremony with traditional sweets and words that tasted like home. A backyard gathering with lawn games and a bilingual toast. We laid the days next to each other on the table like puzzle pieces. The picture that emerged looked like us, not a brochure. Have you noticed how much pressure comes from people who love you loudly? You have to do it this way. Our family always. We learned to thank advice and keep the wheel. We love how you do it. Here's our plan. Then we sent the schedule early, so surprises turned into support. What sentence would help you keep your choices kind and firm? But there's something even quieter holding love together than good paper plans. Repair. On one anniversary, I planned a surprise dinner at a busy restaurant because my culture makes noise when it's happy. You froze at the doorway because your culture saves intimacy for small rooms. We did 3 steps on the sidewalk. Safety, same team. Empathy, you wanted to honor me. I felt overwhelmed. Action, let's take a photo, cancel the table, and get takeout from the place with the red chairs. The night became ours again. Why do milestones matter so much? Because ordinary days are loud. Work emails compete with laundry. Kids ask for snacks with the timing of comedians. Milestones tell your nervous system to stop and look. They tell your community, hold this, please. They are love's way of bookmarking a chapter you want to reread. We built small traditions to keep the big ones company. The anniversary audit on a Sunday walk in crisp winter air. 3 questions only. What worked? What hurt? What needs trying? We kept the answers short, wrote one down, and taped it to the fridge like a promise made of tape and ink. Food became our translator. Longevity noodles next to a tres leches cake. Tea poured clockwise, then a clink of coffee mugs. We shared stories as we ate. Your aunt's joke about fortune cookies. My dad's rule about saving the first slice for the person who cooked. The table held 2 languages and 1 tone. Thank you. Gifts got easier when we named values. Your family uses anniversaries to invest. Tools, appliances, savings. Mine uses them to preserve. Letters, photos, playlists. We blended with a 2-pocket gift. Something for the house and something for the heart. A blanket we'd keep for years. A note tucked in saying what the year taught us. But there's something even more personal worth designing. Sensory anchors. A song you press play on every milestone morning. A scent in a candle you only light on these days. A small batch of pancakes, sliced strawberries, and the radio low on a summer evening. When the senses learn the cue, the body follows with calm. Friends wanted to help without hijacking the plan. We gave them scripts. Please bring a dish that carries a family story. Please record a 10-second wish instead of a long toast. Please use both our languages when you post. Clear requests turn enthusiasm into beauty. Baby celebrations took gentle thought. One side expected a baby shower with games and gifts. The other favored a quiet blessing after birth with elders and soft words. We did a 2-touch approach, a joyful shower that honored practical needs. A naming day later, filtered light and a small meal, where we asked each elder to offer 1 sentence of hope. 2 touches, 1 promise. During the planning, calendars worried us more than money, so we treated time like a resource. We scheduled travel buffers, nap windows for little cousins, and a no-plan hour, so the day could breathe. The result felt like a celebration that liked us back. Have you noticed how a schedule with air changes the faces in your photos? We also learned to protect our budget with honesty. Blend does not mean bigger. It means truer. We picked a few flagships to fund, traditional suites, a photographer who knew how to honor elders on camera, a live musician who could play 2 songbooks. Everything else got friendly versions. Paper plates can be holy, too. whispered hearts. English is here for the part that feels tender, the part where you admit you want your people to feel seen and you want to feel free. This is a porch where belonging is bigger than any rule book. If your plans have been a tug of war, there's room to set down the rope and sit for a minute. Music stitched our worlds quietly, a playlist with tracks from your childhood festivals and mine. A bilingual first dance song for the wedding anniversary party, played on an old speaker in our living room while the dog snored. We learned to let music do the translating when our words got tired. Photos became an act of respect. We took one with elders first, before toddlers melted and suits wrinkled. We made a shot list that named each branch of our family tree. We left room for candid joy, cousins laughing over a plate that looked like a map. Later, we printed a few and mailed them with handwritten notes, so gratitude had a stamp. But there's something even quieter that keeps the joy from fizzling after the confetti falls. Aftercare. The morning after a big celebration, we keep the house slow. We eat leftovers cold at the counter. We text thank yous while coffee drips. Then we take a short walk and say one sentence each. My favorite part was, the body learns that celebration ends with gentleness. Sometimes a tradition couldn't move. Your culture asks for a specific prayer at a specific time. Mine asks for a private moment just after. We honored both by adding a pause and a bench. We did the prayer. Then we walked to the bench by the river and whispered the private words. The bench became a character in our story, quiet, patient, always available. Have you noticed how children turn holidays into teachers? We brought them into the meaning with small jobs, passing out sweets, placing flowers, holding a sign that said, blessings in 2 languages. Kids learn what matters by what their hands get to do. Give them something to carry. When conflict showed up again, we were ready faster. A relative insisted we cut a cake the right way. We smiled and used our sidewalk repair steps inside. Safety, same team. Empathy, they want photos their friends will recognize. Action, we'll cut the cake their way, then serve the first slice our way, with a quiet word we wish for the year. We saved energy for the dance floor. Weather helped us write, too. Spring rain scent said, make it cozy inside with lanterns and a stew that feeds an army. Summer evening warmth said, let the backyard be the ballroom and let the playlist carry. Autumn leaves crunching said, bring blankets and a fire pit for stories after the main event. Winter crispness said, keep it small, keep it glowing, and let people take leftovers home in little containers that prove love travels. We created keepsakes that didn't gather dust. A year in 3 objects shelf, where each anniversary gets 1 item with a story. A ticket stub, a dried flower, a tiny whisk from the first time our kid helped. A recipe journal that holds festival foods we learned from elders, with small photos taped in so their hands are on our pages. But there's something even more delightful than keepsakes. Pilgrimages, places you return to on purpose. The courthouse steps where you signed, the diner booth where you planned, the park bench that kept your secret before anyone else knew. Returning teaches your body. We keep our promises. When families asked how to help, we gave them gentle assignments. Could you prepare the blessing in your language? Could you bring the banner that your grandmother used? Could you lead the call for silence before the moment? People shine when they know their part. Anxiety hides when purpose walks in. We also protected quiet time just for us. After any big milestone, we scheduled a 20-minute debrief in the car before heading home. No phone, no guests, Just a small bottle of water, shoes off, and a question. What should we repeat next time? The answer went straight into a note titled, Rituals That Work. Traditions stretch best when they are explained with love. We stand facing east because that's where we learned to hope. We wear white because it means a fresh start here. We place red on the table because it means joy there. The room relaxes when meaning arrives before instruction. Have you noticed which elder in your world smiles at bridges? Invite them early. They'll stand near you when someone else forgets their kindness. They'll explain to cousins why your way is still faithful. Every celebration needs a bridge keeper. Travel added color to our milestones. A road trip to the town where your grandparents opened a shop. A train ride to the museum that holds a painting from my childhood living room calendar. We brought home tiny souvenirs, keychains and postcards, and turned them into ornaments for a small tree we only decorate on our anniversary. Memory you can touch matters, but there's something even more generous that milestones can do. They can share. 1 year, instead of gifts, we funded a small scholarship in both our families' names at a community center we love. Another year, we asked friends to bring pantry items for a local shelter. Love grows when it leaves the house. We made room for surprises that didn't cause panic. If you're planning a surprise, it happens inside this window of time. If there's a speech, keep it under a minute and tell a story, not a resume. The surprise felt safe because the edges were kind. Finally, we wrote 1 paragraph we read out loud whenever a big milestone approached. We are a 2-culture home that loves big and rests well. We choose joy over performance. We honor elders with roles and honor ourselves with boundaries. We celebrate small and large with equal respect. The paragraph never grew old. We did. What's your favorite milestone tradition from your culture? Share it in the comments. Your idea might become a chapter in someone else's story next month, and that is a beautiful kind of influence. We're glad you're here. Whispered Hearts. English exists to remind you that celebration is a language you can learn together, not a test you have to pass, a dance you can teach each other until the steps feel like home. Tonight, pull out a notebook and write 3 feelings you want your next milestone to hold. Tomorrow, ask an elder for 1 story you can borrow and make your own. This weekend, choose a small sensory anchor and a song. Start there. Let the rest arrive with kindness. And when the date comes, whether it's marked by the lunar calendar or the one above the office printer, split the day if you need to. Blend the flavors. Ask the kids to help. Let the playlist translate. Take the photo with elders first. Then sneak away for a bench and a quiet "we did it." That's the patient, joyful work of celebrating milestones in multicultural relationships. And it looks beautiful on you.